injury updates for you here. The following players will not practice: Taylor Rapp, Dane Jackson, Taron Johnson. Taylor has a neck, and Dane and Taron are both in the concussion protocol. And then limited will be Micah Hyde and Cam Lewis. Time's yours.
So I know you answered the question about Rasul Douglas the other day. I wasn't here, so could you just, the impact he's had for you, for a guy coming in mid-season and to be able to do what he's done, can you kind of quantify what's that?
Yeah, again, just good football player. I think just his resilient nature to come in and was unwavered in his approach, just in terms of unwavered is the wrong choice of words, but he wasn't shook by being traded at the deadline. It didn't appear, at least. Came in, watched practice the first day, and right away was into, hey, tell me what this means, tell me what that call means. So he's got a football way about him, and you're starting to see some of that on the field.
To build off that, how valuable have Linval and Rasul, their additions, been to this defense that has some issues with injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been good additions for sure. The leadership they add to our room, in addition to them on the field as players. I would say overall for the whole group, from game 4, whatever it was, when we started incurring these injuries, everybody has upped their game, and that's what that's what we need moving forward as well.
Hey, Sean, the Eagles have had a ton of success with that quarterback sneak, as have you guys. What makes that play so tough to defend?
Well, first of all, it's usually, on short yardage, whether it's 3 to go, 2 to go, 1 to go situations. So that in and of itself is a tough situation to defend. They have a unique approach. It's obviously been well documented out there.
Sean, do you have to reset landmarks before that play, knowing how successful they are on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1? Do you have to look at 3rd and 7 this week as more like 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and understanding that they have that weapon in the pocket if they do get close? Yeah,
they do a good job. I mean, they believe a lot in the analytical approach and those 4-down windows, as you talked about. So they do as good a job as any team out there in managing those.
What did you think of Jalen Carter trying to intercept a spike? And have you ever seen something like that before?
No, that was obviously unique. It sounds like he heard it from somebody or saw it from somewhere else, but pretty unique situation there.
Sean, we always talk about you have the internal competition in the building. Ty Johnson has the kind of game he has, and you have a running back room, you have Leonard Fournette still in the practice squad. What can that do to elevate the whole group, kind of seeing something like that with a guy who doesn't get a ton of touches, but when he does, he makes the most of it?
Right, as they say, iron sharpens iron, and when you have good competition, and I think it's good, but at the same time, it can go the other way too, where a guy who hasn't maybe played or whatever kind of goes off and gets a little bit disenchanted, if you will. But I think the key is that everyone continues to compete, because you never know when your number is going to be called, and I think that's the important thing moving forward.
What kind of year are you seeing from Dion Dawkins?
What kind of year did you ask? Yeah. I started to see his personality come out this past game. But I welcome that. I think that's good. When you're out there, it's an emotional game. And so, he's one of the more lively personalities on our team, as you guys are very aware, I'm sure. So, and we saw that in full display on Sunday there. I think that as he continues to grow, he continues to get better and better. And I'm just so proud of the way he's grown over the years since the time we drafted him in 2017.
How does this week, what challenges does this week kind of present? Because obviously you take off tomorrow, spend time with families and everything like that, but preparing for a big game like this, how does that change your week practice-wise?
Yeah, I mean, we try and make every game the same size. I understand that to many it's labeled as big. They're all big, right? So, but the schedule, we've been at this long enough to, although every year is a little bit different in terms of the game you're coming off of, when you played or what have you, but you try and keep the main thing, which is keep things in perspective and keep priorities in proper order, with giving the guys some time to spend time with their families, coaches, staff included, and then making sure that we get our work in also. And I think we've done a good job, Matt Warswick and our operations staff, putting together a schedule to accomplish both those things.
Sean, what's the balance of taking momentum and confidence from how the offense played, but also putting it behind and focusing in the 1 week at a time approach?
That's the main goal every week, is reset, 24-hour rule, and celebrate the process that led to those results, so that we have a chance to get those again, and then continue to grow 1 week at a time, and that's that growth mindset.
Sean, off of that, you talked about the process and factoring what worked well that week. It seemed like energy was a big thing last week. Can energy be carried over? Is that something that you want to bring with you into this week from last week?
Well, I mean, the intangibles in this case are the intangibles in this case of an offense. I think is what you saw that really was on display. And I've said this before, it's not necessarily always what plays you're running, it's how you run the plays. And the energy, the intent, the unselfish nature, I think those are just as important as the play design or the play that's called.
Sean, it seemed like Khalil had a tough training camp, but as the season's gone along, every single week he's improving, almost by leaps and bounds. What's happened? What's gone right during the season that maybe didn't happen earlier in the year?
Well, I mean, some of that's not just that's not all on him. That's opportunities more than anything, or just as much as anything, I should say. So, you when given your chances, given your opportunities, you have to perform. And now that he's been getting more, he's taken advantage of those opportunities. And so, I think you got to give credit to both the coaches getting him more involved, and then Khalil taking advantage of those opportunities.
Sean, Joe told us he didn't even decide till maybe almost up to game time to go up or down. How'd you feel the operation went? You're listening in and everything seemed pretty smooth. I think there was only one time maybe there was a end of the clock play where a timeout was used. But how did you feel the entire operation went?
No, I thought it was at the level it needed to be to perform. So that's the most important thing, and the coaches, Coach Shula as well. And there's some unselfishness on that staff too, with some guys that were in one role and they're still in that role, and as things were shuffled around a little bit. So I very much appreciate that as well.
Sean, obviously this isn't the first time that you guys have faced a mobile quarterback, but just how challenging is it to prepare for a guy like Jalen Hurts, who can get it done with these big explosive plays downfield, but also on the ground as well? Yeah, I mean he's a really tough player to go against for those reasons, among others. Really, I mean he's playing at a high level, and he uses not only his arm, as you mentioned, Heather, but his feet, and it's tough to defend, whether it be any situation, you name it, red zone, third down, 2 minute, and beyond. So you have to defend all 11 on the field.
With the short week last week and now seeing how it all flowed on game day, are there any adjustments? Do you talk over that now that you have the time to be you took on this role and it worked, it didn't work? Do you go through that this week some?
I mean we always follow up the game with recap and how did we manage the game? How was our communication? How did halftime go? And just always trying to go back and reassess some areas that we can improve on. So obviously not as big of, I shouldn't say obviously, but not as big of changes this week, but certainly always tweaking things to make sure we're maximizing our potential.
There's a clip from the game of Josh saying that, he felt like himself out there again against the Jets. And, we've talked a lot about seeing his personality out there and getting that back. For him to say that, is that something that you're excited to hear, or did you all, I guess you talked about how you saw his personality out there, but did you also kind of see more of what you expected?
No, yeah, I mean that's in the past too, but yeah, I mean I think overall the personality of our offense, I started to see their personality. They were having fun, and that's earned, right? I mean it's one thing to go out there and not put the time in and go have fun, and yeah, we can all do that in the backyard, but in this league you've got to earn that right during the week, and that's where the process comes into play, and making sure we're detailed during the week, and then when you go on the field, you can cut it loose.
Sean, Dalton has become, a bigger piece of the offense the last couple of weeks, more targets, more opportunities. What has he done to earn those opportunities and those added looks?
Yeah, I mean, I would say my answer is probably similar to the Khalil answer is, when given the opportunity, he's taken advantage of it and made the most of it, and that's when that happens. You see more opportunities. It's just how it works. And so again, credit the coaches for getting him on the field and using him. And sometimes you never want to see a player go down in Dawson, but sometimes it allows another player to, in this case, a young player, to come on the scene a little bit more and to show us what he's got, and he's done well.
Sean, the Eagles' offense, they have 30 touchdowns this year. They have 15 rushing, they have 15 passing. What's the challenge?
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that.
What's the challenge? Math.
I think I'm
pretty.
pretty.
What's the challenge of preparing for a team that is not heavily weighted on either side of those things?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a good football team. This is a good football team in all three phases, and I think Howie Roseman does a great job of every year putting a Super Bowl caliber team on the field, and that's hard to do every year, but he's done that. And then you watch what they do offensively. They can run the football. They got a heck of an offensive line coach, and they can throw the football. The weapons that they have to throw the football, probably one of the best moves in recent NFL history to go get A.J. Brown the way they did, and how that's helped their offense in addition to the other weapons they already had. All right, thanks.